Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? You know, before our lovely leaders drag us into the middle of WW3, perhaps, just perhaps, we should take a step back and take a really hard look at our own capabilities. Just saying. If you really think about it, okay, you really truly think about it, military recruiting has been way down. They can't offer anybody a good enough deal to literally sign their life away. Ammo levels have fallen to dangerously low levels because of how much we have sent to other countries. Our enemies have developed cutting-edge new weapons systems that we just can't match. This is not the 1980s, where everybody is still deeply afraid of the US military. It is time for all of us to acknowledge that the world has changed. In 2021, the US military pulled out of Afghanistan, and the Taliban reconquered the entire country even before we were able to get everyone out. In 2022, the Russian invasion happened. And despite the fact that we have sent them giants amounts of money, the Ukrainians are losing more territory with each passing day. In 2023, a major war erupted in the Middle East. US troops in Iraq and Syria have already been attacked more than 100 times. Why? Because Iranian-backed forces are not afraid of us anymore. A naval battle that resulted in the destruction of 3 vessels just made headlines all over the planet. The truth is that the US is already at war with the Middle East. And once Israel decides that it is time to push back on Hezbollah to the Litani River and southern Lebanon, the US is going to be even more deeply involved. Meanwhile, it appears that the conflict in Ukraine is about to go to a whole nother level. They have been shelling civilian targets in the Russian city of Belgorod, and that's Belgorod, in order to provoke the Russians into doing something very dramatic. And Putin is extremely angry about these attacks on Belgorod, and he is vowing to intensify the strikes. You know, I don't even want to get into that. I really don't, because it's like they're trying to, show who has the bigger, what. So over the past couple of years, the US has provided far more funding for the war in Ukraine than anyone else. More weapons than anyone else, more ammo than anyone else, and far more intelligence than anyone else. Now, 46 is warning that there is a risk. There is a risk that the United States could get pulled in directly. His exact words were, "The stakes of this fight extend far beyond the Ukraine. They affect the entirety of the NATO alliance, the security of Europe, and the future of the transatlantic relationship. When dictators and autocrats are allowed to run roughshod in Europe, the risk rises that the United States gets pulled in directly. and the consequences reverberate around the world. We cannot let our allies and our partners down. We cannot let Ukraine down. History will judge harshly those who fail to answer freedom's call. So, could we end up being directly involved in a major war in the Middle East and a major war with Russia at the same time? It's a logical question. Meanwhile, you have Xi Jinping, who just warned that the reunification with Taiwan is a historical inevitability. Xi's words were, the reunification of the motherland is historical inevitability, and China will surely be reunified. Compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait should be bound by a common sense of purpose and share in the glory of the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So Xi Jinping, he will attempt to reunify with Taiwan in 2024. Is that what I'm gathering here? Because most Americans, they don't realize this, but the moment that China makes a move against Taiwan, we will be at war with the Chinese. But can our military actually handle it? A retired U.S. Army colonel recently wrote an article in which he claimed that once such war starts, American forces will likely burn through munition stocks within 3 weeks. His exact words were, in the U.S. fight with China, American forces will likely burn through munition stocks within 3 weeks. Even with a surge of the U.S. industrial base, replenishing stocks will take more than 6 months. In the interim, the U.S. will be without sufficient bombs and bullets for its cutting-edge systems, such as fifth-generation fighter jets and high-mobility rocket launcher systems and anti-air missiles needed to protect our nuclear aircraft carriers and bases in the Pacific. Right now, the warning indicators are blinking red. The massive need for ammunition in such conflicts highlights weaknesses in the American defense industry, which no longer produces munitions at the rate it did decades ago. The post-Cold War defense budget reductions led to swift merger on the defense sector, which saw a drop from 51 major defense providers in the early 90s to 5 by the end of that decade. This consolidation led to a tightened capacity. So, if all of this is true, okay, because we have to take some things into consideration. So, if all of this is true, how in the world can we possibly fight a war with China? And how in the world can we, I'm just having a very hard time wrapping my brain around 3 possible countries, 3 possible, all at once. How could we win? How could we do it? I just don't see it happening. And let us not forget that Kim Jong-un continues to make threats about going to war with us. He said that his military should thoroughly annihilate the United States and South Korea if provoked. He vowed to boost national defense to cope with what he called an unprecedented US-led confrontation. I know, nobody bothers with this guy, but yet apparently he's like, So I believe that 2024 will be a year of war around the world. Like I said in a previous video, 2024 is supposed to be the year of wars and rumors of wars. Because in recent years, our military has been gutted, eviscerated, and transformed into a politically correct joke. My son is a Marine. He knows these things. And he's medically discharged now, and he's like, they could call me back, and I don't want to go back. And I'm like, oh, son, hey, listen, if you don't, you know what I mean? We couldn't even defeat the Taliban, for crying out loud. And now we're faced with the possibility of fighting 3 of them simultaneously. We're in so much trouble, man. Most Americans seem to believe that we are still the same global military powerhouse that we were when the first Top Gun was originally released. Somebody get Maverick on the phone, okay? Because we are not who we used to be. This country is not what it used to be. Okay, so do yourself the favor now, while we still can, and prep your butts off, okay? And just do it like, like I said, even if it's just $5 a week, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, just do as little as you possibly can. An extra bag of rice a month, okay? Just do what you can. You will be so grateful that you did. Trust me when I tell you, okay? Please. Because we're in for a world of hurt, I'm telling you. If this all pans out the way that I think it's going to, dear God, it's never going to be the same again. All right, guys, listen, I'm out of here, okay? I will see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping. And as always, fear less. Ciao.